Welcome back to our channel for another deep dive into the scintillating, high-stakes drama of Los Angeles fashion. Today is a truly spectacular day to unpack the explosive secrets, corporate espionage, and shattered alliances that are currently rocking the very foundation of our favorite daytime dynasties. Grab a cup of coffee and settle in, because the landscape of the fashion world is about to be altered forever. The glittering facade of the Los Angeles fashion industry is cracking under the immense pressure of a corporate war that has finally reached its breaking point. For weeks, the tension between Forrester Creations and the newly minted Logan brand has been simmering just beneath the surface, fueled by secret defections, stolen legacies, and bitter familial rivalries. At the center of this brewing storm stands Hope Logan Spencer, a woman who gambled her entire career, her reputation, and her family's legacy on a desperate bid for creative freedom. Hope believed that by secretly abandoning Forrester Creations and aligning herself with Katie Logan Spencer and Bill Spencer, she would finally step out of Steffy Forrester Finnegan's suffocating shadow. She envisioned a triumphant rebirth, a new empire where her vision would be celebrated rather than marginalized. However, the universe has a cruel way of shattering delusions, and Hope is about to learn that escaping the Forrester name is an impossible feat when that very name defines the industry's gold standard. The anticipation leading up to the Logan brand's first internal fashion showcase was nothing short of suffocating. Hope and her newly appointed lead designer, Deke Sharp, had poured their blood, sweat, and tears into a preliminary collection that they believed would solidify their standing in the fashion world. They worked countless nights, driven by the intoxicating promise of independence and the desperate need to prove Steffi wrong. Katie Logan Spencer, wielding her newfound power as a fashion mogul, had orchestrated a masterstroke by targeting the internationally renowned French celebrity, Fanny Grayson, to become the face of the brand. Fanny's endorsement was not just desired. It was the critical linchpin required to legitimize the Logan brand on a global scale. The entire future of the company hinged on her discerning, elite approval. However, in a devastating twist of fate that sent shockwaves through the Logan design studio, Fanny Grayson delivered a crushing, unapologetic rejection right before the internal showcase was set to begin. The French icon, known for her impeccable taste and ruthless honesty, did not mince words. She took one look at the preliminary sketches and garments that Hope and Deke had painstakingly created and flat-out refused to attach her prestigious name to the collection. Fanny's critique was not just a professional decline. It was a visceral, deeply personal attack on the very core of their creative identity. She boldly declared that the designs completely lacked the soul, the transcendent elegance, and the inherent sophistication that were the undeniable hallmarks of Eric Forster's legendary work. Fanny's brutal assessment was a catastrophic blow to Hope's psyche. To be told that her independent vision was a hollow, soulless imitation of the Forrester patriarch's genius was the ultimate humiliation. Hope was absolutely devastated by the news, her world crumbling around her as the reality of her monumental gamble set in. She had sacrificed her standing at Forrester Creations, deceived her mother, and risked everything to build something of her own, only to be told by the industry's ultimate gatekeeper that she was woefully inadequate. The psychological collapse that followed was profound. Hope found herself spiraling into a dark abyss of self-doubt and terror, realizing that without the Forrester machine behind her, her creative voice was being dismissed as utterly irrelevant. The tears she shed were not just for the rejected designs, but for the terrifying realization that she might have made the biggest, most destructive mistake of her entire life. While Hope was drowning in a sea of professional despair, a completely different kind of storm was brewing across town at Forrester Creations. Steffi Forrester Finnegan, armed with a predatory instinct honed through years of ruthless corporate warfare, had never for a single second believed the convenient narrative that Hope was simply taking a sabbatical to clear her head. Steffi's intuition, sharp and unforgiving, told her that Hope was orchestrating a betrayal of epic proportions. Refusing to be played for a fool in her own kingdom, Steffy launched a relentless, clandestine investigation into Hope's mysterious disappearance. She utilized every resource at her disposal, meticulously tracking movements, scrutinizing communications, and digging into the shadowy whispers circulating among the Los Angeles fashion elite. Steffy's forensic determination eventually yielded the ultimate, devastating prize. She uncovered undeniable, concrete proof that Hope was not resting or reflecting, but was actively and secretly working for the rival Logan brand. The evidence was irrefutable, a smoking gun that confirmed Steffy's darkest suspicions and ignited a fiery, unquenchable rage within her soul. The sheer audacity of Hope's treason, the calculated deception carried out right under the noses of the Forrester family, fueled Steffy's righteous fury. She realized that Hope had not just walked away. She had defected to the enemy, taking her insider knowledge and her brand value directly to Bill and Katie Spencer's hostile corporate expansion. Armed with this explosive evidence, Steffy orchestrated a confrontation that will undoubtedly go down in the annals of Forrester history as one of its most brutal and consequential battles. The setting was the Forrester Creations CEO office, a room that has witnessed countless power struggles, but none quite as vitriolic as the one that was about to unfold. When Hope and Steffy finally came face to face, the atmosphere was thick with an electrifying, suffocating tension. Steffy, radiating an aura of absolute dominance and cold, calculated fury, did not hold back. She unleashed a torrent of accusations, laying out the undeniable proof of Hope's betrayal with surgical precision. The fiery confrontation erupted into a chaotic symphony of shouting, tears, and venomous threats. Hope, already emotionally fragile from Fanny Grayson's devastating rejection, attempted to defend her actions, citing Steffy's condescending leadership and the constant marginalization of the Hope for the future line. But Steffy was entirely impervious to Hope's victim narrative. In Steffy's eyes, Hope was a traitor, a corporate spy who had bitten the hand that fed her for years. And then, with the chilling calmness of an executioner dropping the blade, Steffy delivered the final, fatal blow. She revealed that she was not just going to fire Hope, she was going to destroy her. Steffy explicitly threatened to sue Hope for a catastrophic violation of the non-compete clause embedded in her old Forrester Creations contract. This was not an idle threat born of momentary anger. It was a calculated legal maneuver designed to inflict maximum financial and professional damage. Steffy made it abundantly clear that the full, terrifying weight of the Forrester legal team would descend upon the Logan brand. She vowed to file a massive lawsuit that would not only halt Hope's new line in its tracks, but would effectively push the entire Logan family to the absolute brink of bankruptcy. The financial implications were staggering. Bill and Katie's fledgling fashion empire, already facing a potential lawsuit from Eric Forrester over stolen designs, was now staring down the barrel of a multi-million-dollar breach of contract litigation that could annihilate their fortunes overnight. The sheer magnitude of Steffy's threat left Hope paralyzed with a cold, creeping terror. The realization that her desperate quest for independence could result in the financial ruin of her aunt, her mother, and the entire Logan legacy was a burden too heavy to bear. The CEO office became a suffocating trap, the walls closing in on Hope as she comprehended the apocalyptic consequences of her secret defection. She had ignited a war she could not possibly win, and the casualties were going to be the people she loved the most. However, the collateral damage of this explosive confrontation extended far beyond the immediate financial threats to the Logan brand. The revelation of Hope's betrayal and Steffy's ruthless, scorched-earth retaliation sent a seismic shockwave through the foundational relationships of the Forrester and Logan families. At the epicenter of this emotional earthquake were Ridge Forrester and Brooke Logan Forrester. For weeks, Brooke had been blindly, delusionally defending her daughter, aggressively pushing Ridge to reinstate Hope's line and even attempting to usurp Steffy's co-CEO position to protect her child. Brooke had operated under the naive assumption that Hope was an innocent victim of Steffy's bullying. When the truth finally exploded into the light, when Ridge was confronted with the undeniable reality of Hope's calculated treason and Steffy's legally justified, albeit merciless, response, the fallout was catastrophic. Ridge, torn between his profound duty to protect his family's company and his deep, enduring love for his wife, was forced to make an impossible choice. He could not ignore the fact that Hope had actively conspired with their greatest corporate enemies. He could not fault his daughter for utilizing every legal weapon at her disposal to protect Forrester Creations from hostile threat. Brooke, paralyzed by her blinding maternal devotion, refused to accept the reality of the situation. She viciously turned on Ridge, accusing him of allowing Steffy to destroy her daughter's life and the Logan family's financial stability. She demanded that Ridge intervene, that he stop the lawsuit, and that he protect Hope at all costs. But Ridge, his heart heavy with the weight of ultimate betrayal, finally drew a line in the sand. He realized that Brooke's loyalty to her daughter would always eclipse her loyalty to him and to the legacy of his family. The ensuing argument between Ridge and Brooke was a masterclass in heartbreak. The words exchanged were not just angry, they were fatal. The deeply entrenched resentments, the decades of taking sides, and the fundamental incompatibility of their loyalties finally culminated in a devastating rupture. This was not a typical lover's quarrel that could be mended with a romantic gesture or a tearful apology. The revelation of Hope's defection and the subsequent legal war declared by Steffy served as the ultimate catalyst that permanently shattered the relationship between Ridge and Brooke. The trust was entirely broken, the bridge burned to ashes by the relentless fire of corporate warfare and familial betrayal. As the dust begins to settle on this apocalyptic chapter of Los Angeles fashion, the landscape is unrecognizable. Hope Logan Spencer stands amidst the ruins of her shattered dreams, rejected by the elite and targeted for financial annihilation by her greatest rival. Steffy Forrester Finnegan reigns supreme, a ruthless corporate monarch who has successfully defended her kingdom, but at a terrible familial cost. And Ridge and Brooke, the eternal star-crossed lovers of the fashion world, find themselves standing on opposite sides of an unbridgeable chasm, their legendary romance finally destroyed by the very legacy that brought them together. The war is no longer just about fashion. It is about survival,